Hello, my name is Chris Bayaki and I'm with Resolute Philanthropy. Today we're going to talk about special events. Now, special events are a huge part of the fundraising landscape. They come up all the time. There's a lot of different types of events. There's a lot of information about special events, but in this video today, we're going to focus on what is the difference between a successful and an unsuccessful event. How can we tell the difference? How can we make sure the events that we do are telling our story accurately and are really giving our donors what they want? So, some good stuff to unpack. Let's take a look. When we're starting to plan an event, we've got to start with some questions. And it may seem simple, but having direct and clear answers to these questions will really help guide the event. Now, note that these questions aren't about event specifics. They're about event purpose. Really understanding, why are we holding an event? Are we holding an event because we think it might be a good idea? Because a board member went to another event like this and thinks it would be fun? Maybe we're holding an event because we've always held this event and it's just tradition. Once we start to analyze why we're holding these events, once we start to really outline our outcomes and our goals for the event, we can start having more meaningful conversations about what this event would look like, what it should look like, and what we're going to achieve. We also really want to talk about, how does this event reflect our organization? Is it a good fit with our culture, with our public face? And this can be a difficult topic to put your arms around because it's a little nebulous. But at the end of the day, again, really digging into this information. Before you start booking a caterer or printing out invitations, really talk about the why. Really understand what you want to accomplish and understand who is going to be involved with the planning and execution of this event. So, what makes a successful event? First and foremost, the big one is this: a successful event has a clear and a strong connection between the event and the mission. It's really that simple. It's got to connect. Think of it this way. When your donors, when your guests are coming into the event, what do they know about your mission? What do they feel about your mission? Maybe it's not much. Maybe they're all new, or maybe they know a lot. They're board members and friends. But what do they know and what do they feel when they leave your event? How have you changed their perception about your mission? Are they feeling more engaged, more energized? Are they feeling more connected? If yes, then go for it. Your event is really going to be a success. If it's not, then really consider what your objectives are for this event. Obviously, your events have to raise money. You've got to at least cover your expenses. If not, make some net revenue. They got to be done on budget and on time. If you're spending way more than you thought, that's a bad thing. Like I mentioned at the top of this slide, we need to use our events to develop our relationships with our donors, both new donors and existing donors. We want to strengthen those. And then we got to have a good follow-up. One of the most important days, if not the most important day in your planning cycle for an event, is the day after the event. It's the day when you start your follow-up work, when you're making your thank you calls or sending your thank you cards, when you're really capitalizing on the momentum and the goodwill of your event. Now, I know that's a tough ask because after the event, I know after I do an event, I just want to sleep. It's exhausting, but you've got to rally. You've got to make that happen. That could be the difference between a successful and an unsuccessful event. And again, is this event you? Is it a reflection of your organization? Here's an example. When I worked for Habitat for Humanity of Orange County, one of our most successful events was a construction competition. And it worked because it was us. No other nonprofit in the county could reasonably put on an event where the participants came and built a house and then had construction-themed challenges and activities after the building. It was on brand for us. It fit us better than, say, a black tie event would. And it fit us, and because it fit us so well, our donors who were at that event were really connected to our mission. So really think about that before you start talking about, caterers and invitations. Think about that connection between the mission and the event, because that's going to be your guideline to having a successful event.
So you heard about what makes a successful event. What about an unsuccessful event? Generally speaking, an unsuccessful event is one that's planned poorly. It's the planning that usually sinks an event, even not so much the execution, but the planning. For example, if you've scheduled your event without doing research about what other holidays or observances might be happening on or around that day, you might be in trouble. And not just major holidays, but what are the things that are important to your donors? I worked with a donor once who wouldn't come to our black tie gala if it conflicted with a USC football game. So when we were planning the event, we looked at the USC football schedule to make sure we could work around it. That was an important thing for us to do for that particular donor, and it made the event more of a success. If your event is wildly over budget, you're spending way more than you thought you would, or you're not bringing in as much as you thought you would, both those things are danger signs that your event is not quite as successful as it could be. The big thing, though, is it's got a weak connection to the mission. If your event isn't strongly tied to what you do, if your donors don't leave that event knowing more and feeling more about your organization than when they walked in, well, then you're in trouble. Finally, unsuccessful events, there's no follow-up. The donors maybe don't hear from you again until it's time for the next event. And it's not donor-centric. Maybe you've got a lot of inside jokes happening, or there's 4 board members speaking, and it's really kind of an insular feeling. You want to build a sense of community with your event. You need to be donor-centric. You want the donors to feel like they belong at the event, no matter what it is.
Special events can be remarkable. They can also be a huge challenge. And I hope this video outlined some of the ways that you can identify the difference between a successful and an unsuccessful event. And I hope that if nothing else, you walked away with the understanding that at the end of the day, your special event needs to connect the individual with the mission. You need to make that relationship stronger through everything you do. There's a lot to unpack. It's a lot to handle with special events, and I would love to talk to you about how to make your events better or to evaluate the events you have. You can find me on the links here at resolutephilanthropy.com. Please reach out, set up a free consultation call, tell me what you're working with, and let's see if we can work together to make the world a better place. Thanks a lot and have a great day. Bye-bye.